Welcome to Binghamton University's returning student housing process, selecting a room. The process begins at reslife.binghamton.edu, where you'll find a link to housing information and information about the current returning student housing process. Remember to review the housing guide for complete instructions for the current process. The most important difference between this process and what you might have experienced as a new student is that you will not be sent an email telling you when it's your turn to sign up for housing. Returners have many more housing options than new students, and where you want to live, who you want to live with, and often your number of credits will factor into when you sign up. Make sure you familiarize yourself with the housing guide so you don't miss your best chance to choose a room, suite, or apartment that you want. Let's say it's time to choose a room. Click the link on the returning student housing page to enter the housing portal to begin. Log into the housing portal. Here in the housing portal, we'll click on the returning student housing process. We've already created our application and formed our roommate group, so we just click on Continue on the term selector to pick up where we left off, the application status screen. This alert tells me that I have a time slot for the housing priority currently in progress. Yours may indicate that you do not currently have a time slot. It'll tell you when housing begins. We will not send an email as we might have done when you were first coming to Binghamton because you may qualify for several different priorities. We don't know what you want to do as a returning student, so it's up to you to make sure you familiarize yourself with the instructions and then sign up during the appropriate time. Before we do that, let's go back and have a look at our group. I'm going to click on group formation, and I've got a 4-person group here, and there's a few things that I want to point out. If you're signing up during a priority where credit hour blocks are in place, in other words, you're going to sign up at a particular time depending on your group's average credit hours, you'll need to make sure that you add up all of your group credits and any extra points you may have earned during the process, and then get the average by dividing your total number of credits and priority points by the total number of people in your group. The other thing to point out here is our living option agreement signed. These are things like break housing, chem-free, or quiet floors. It's important to understand that you have to make sure your entire group matches on living option agreements if you want to live in specialty housing like break housing, chem-free housing, or quiet living. If I look at my group here, I see that Dean Thomas has break housing, Seamus Finnegan has chem-free, Oliver Wood has chem-free, and Lee Jordan has chem-free. If I want to live in chem-free housing, currently, if I go into housing selection, I'm not going to see any because Dean Thomas is missing the chem-free agreement. In order to see chem-free housing, I would have to go back to the living options screen, add the chem-free housing to my housing choices, and make sure I agree to the chem-free agreement. When I come back to the group information page, I can see that I have chem-free. Seamus, Oliver, and Lee all do as well, and will now have chem-free housing if we go into a building that has it. So again, make sure you calculate your average credits among all of your group members and make sure everyone has matching living option agreements if you're going to live in specialty housing. The other thing to consider is who the group leader should be. If you're all from the same area, it doesn't really matter unless you plan on renewing a particular room that you currently live in which case you want to make sure the person who currently occupies that space is the group leader. Remember, where the members of your group currently live is important to the process, depending on which priority you're signing up in. There are some priorities where everyone in the group must live in the same area, and then there are some priorities where you can pull people in from other areas, but the group leader has to currently live in the area that you want to live in. You can also change the leader very easily by clicking the Make Leader button on the right-hand side of the screen. It's important you don't change the leader after midnight the day before the priority begins. This is because we'll only be giving the group leader the time slot to sign up the group. Let's go in and do that now. I'm just going to go ahead to application status so we can start off just as we normally would. My time slot is in process. I'll click Save and Continue, and I'm going to be going to Priority 8, which is our fill anywhere on campus, so I have to find a room or suite or flat or apartment and fill it completely. I'm going to choose CIW because it offers us a choice of quarter-style rooms or suite-style rooms. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see I have areas to choose from, and because I'm looking at College in the Woods right now, I've got College in the Woods buildings. I'm going to filter to just look at Oneida. So I see all of Oneida here, all the rooms I'm eligible for. It's important to consider I'll be able to see chem-free rooms if they exist in Oneida and all the rooms will match our group gender. The very first thing I see on the screen is 2J. I can see this is a suite, and we can see the difference between suites and double rooms because remember, in College in the Woods, you'll find regular quarter-style doubles alongside suite-type housing. Now, if I want to live in 2J, I'm going to click on Select, and I'm going to receive an error. Notice how the error brings me right up to the top of the screen. It's telling me that my group is too small to fill all 6 available spaces. As it happens, just down the page, I can see Oneida 3C. Oneida 3C is a 4-person, 2-bedroom suite. When I click on any bedroom in the suite, it's going to select the entire suite. Whoever clicks on the button first will win the entire suite for 5 minutes. And you'll notice up in the top right-hand corner of the screen is a running clock. So I have 5 minutes now to go ahead and assign the beds in this room. And I do that very easily. I decide who should live with who. So I'm going to put myself here into bedroom 3C1. I'm going to have a roommate, Lee Jordan. For the second room in the suite, I'm going to put Oliver Wood and Seamus together. Then I'm going to go ahead and assign the beds. This is a fill priority. I would receive an error message if I didn't completely fill that room. This is my last chance to confirm what I've selected. I want to make sure I'm in the correct building, in the correct rooms. If I like where I'm at, I'm going to click on Confirm. If you don't click the Confirm button, you won't get the assignment. Once you've done that, you're going to come back here to Application Status. You'll see your application is now complete. You can see a summary of all of your bookings. All 4 people are now assigned in the room, and you can see they are in 3C1 and 3C2 of Oneida. And once we've seen that, you'll notice that all of our options that we used to have here have now disappeared. All we do now is click Log Out, and we're done. And that's it for signing up for returning student housing.